Start off with a couple of questions, and you'll soon see the relevance. How would you say they had, as in they had an accident? The preterite, they had. Tuvieron, tuvieron. What about they saw? Vieron, vieron. And what about they lived? Vivieron, vivieron. Hablaron. They drove. Condujeron, condujeron. Now, if in English we say, hypothetically, if I had an accident, I would, etc., etc. If I had an accident. Now, when we say that sentence, we are not actually referring to something that happened, even though we are using the past. If I had an accident. What we are doing is we are using the past tense to imagine a hypothetical situation. If I saw a ghost, I would run. If I saw a ghost. And this, of course, doesn't mean I saw a ghost, even though it's using the past, I saw. It's imagining a hypothetical situation. If such and such a thing happened, then I would do whatever. Another example is, if I lived in Spain, I would speak perfect Spanish, for example. We can see that in English, we use the past tense to imagine with if. And in Spanish, in the same way as the future is the future, and not to be messed with, the past is the past, and cannot be used in this way. So we have to use something different. Now have a look at these verbs and see if you can work out the pattern. See if you can work out how we got to this conjugation. Si tuviera mucho dinero. Si tuviera mucho dinero. Si comiera demasiado. Si comiera demasiado. Si viera un fantasma. Si perdiera mi trabajo. Si pudiera ayudar. Si hablara español. Now this tense has a complicated name. Actually, they often call it a mood rather than a tense. And it's called the imperfect subjunctive. So it sounds complicated, but it's incredibly straightforward. You'll see now why I started this lesson with they had, and they saw, and they lived. Because this is how we get to the verb form that we need to be able to say if plus the imaginary hypothesis. We take off ron and add ra. That's all you need to remember. Take off ron and add ra. Take ron off what? Where do we take the ron from? You start off by putting the verb in the they of the past, the preterite past. So, tuvieron is they had. That's our starting point, tuvieron. If we want to say if I had, tuvieron. Take off the ron and add ra, and you have tuviera. Si tuviera, if I had. And it works with any verb. You don't have to worry about the irregulars, because the irregulars are already contained within the the past they. So let's say we want to say, if I spoke Spanish. Start off with they spoke, hablaron. Take off the ron and add ra, hablara. Si hablara español. Si hablara español, if I spoke Spanish. What about if I drove? They drove is condujeron. Take off the ron, add ra, si condujera. Si condujera, if I drove. Okay, let's see if we can do this. How would we say if I went? If I went. Si fuera. Si fuera. Si fuera a España, if I went to Spain. Si fuera a su casa, if I went to his house. And how did we do it? They went is fueron. Take off the ron, add ra, si fuera. How about if I lost? Si perdiera. Si perdiera. Perdieron, perdieron. Take off the ron, add ra, si perdiera. What about if I missed someone? If I missed. Si echara de menos. Si echara de menos. If I bought. Si comprara. What about if I brought? If I brought the wine, he would bring whatever. Si trajera. Si trajera. Okay, let's do a full sentence now. If I won the lottery, I would buy a fast car. If I won the lottery, I would buy a fast car. Si ganara la lotería, si ganara la lotería, compraría un coche rápido. Si ganara la lotería, so if I won, start off with they won, ganaron, run off, add ra. Si ganara la lotería, I would buy, compraría un coche rápido. Now the other endings for this tense are very intuitive. Si tuviera, if I had. Si tuvieras, if you had. Si tuvieras que hacerlo, ¿qué harías? If you had to do it, what would you do? Si tuviera, so just use add and yes. Si tuviera, for he and she. So again, just going back to the I. So he and she and it is exactly the same as I. So, si María tuviera, if Maria had. If we had, si tuviéramos. And if they had, si tuvieran. So very straightforward. So how about this? If they wanted to help us, they would call. If they wanted to help us, they would call. Si quisieran ayudarnos, llamarían. Si quisieran ayudarnos, llamarían. What about if we drove a bit faster, we would arrive on time. If we drove a bit faster, we would arrive on time. Si condujéramos un poco más rápido, llegaríamos a tiempo. Si condujéramos un poco más rápido, llegaríamos a tiempo. How about, if you went out with him, you would have a good time. If you went out with him, you would have a good time. And remember the phrase to have a good time, to pass it well, to spend it well, pasarlo bien. Si salieras con él, lo pasarías bien. Si salieras con él, lo pasarías bien. How about, if my brother were here, he would show us how to do it. If my brother were here, he would show us how to do it. Si estuviera aquí mi hermano, o si mi hermano estuviera aquí, nos enseñaría cómo hacerlo. Si mi hermano estuviera aquí, nos enseñaría cómo hacerlo. And if you managed all that, and as I said before, it's quite straightforward if you follow the simple steps. Very well done. This normally isn't started until well into advanced level, but as we've seen with most of the concepts, if you break them down into the steps, then it's very straightforward.